Welcome back. Unless you're seeing me for the first time, in which case, welcome to my humble channel. I make recaps after every Atlanta Dream game. I hope you enjoy it and stick around. Dream lose 74-92 against the Washington Mystics. The third time in a row Washington has beaten Atlanta this season. Let's talk about the game, I guess. Now, the biggest piece of news going into this game was the much shorter injury report. Hayes and Coffey are still out. Vaughn is probable. Wallace and Wheeler are back, and they're starting. Suddenly I'm feeling a lot better about this one. Bit of a confidence boost that we need heading into a game against a team that just beat Vegas and has beaten the Dream in not only their last 3 games this season, but their last 7 meetings overall. Washington is wearing their reds, Atlanta wearing their dark grays. Not a good combination for a ESPN game. The NFL color rush was bad, and the WNBA counterpart is just as bad. Nothing you can say can change my mind. Now, Christy Wallace starts the scoring in her return game, getting a quick 2, and her defense is solid as always. Unfortunately, so is Natasha Clouds, who helps run down the shot clock on their next possession and deflects Wallace's last-second shot. 4 minutes in, the Mystics are beating the hell out of the Dream. Atlanta keeps relying on double coverage, leaving Washington's best shooters open. Natasha Cloud alone has 2 3-pointers before the halfway point of the quarter. Now, Billings cools Washington off a little, and then Wheeler hits a 3. And then, of course, Kia Vaughn goes down with an injury on either her knee or foot. I'm not really sure. She's being looked at, got taken to the bench, and it must have been pretty bad because that was the last time that we saw her this game. Washington goes on their second big run of the game, this time for 12-0, but it feels like this entire game has just been one big run for the Mystics. Ari McDonald, Naz Hillman, and A.D. Durr are helping to keep the gap from widening any further, especially McDonald. Pretty similar scenario from the last game. 32-20 to end the first. Washington is starting to run away with it, but we've seen this movie before now, haven't we? The Dream go down by a huge margin, and then they come back to threaten to snatch a win away at the last few minutes. Walker Kimbrough is having a pretty busy night, but not in a good way. At the start of the second quarter, she commits her 3rd foul of the game by pretending to be a truck and running over Ari McDonald. Might be some time before we see her again. And not that it's hurting Washington at all. Every single time Atlanta brings the lead down to single digits, the Mystics just pull right away. Erica Wheeler looking like she's finally going to get a clean shot at the net and actually convert on it, but Billings commits a charging foul to put an end to that. Not a whole lot more worth taking notes on beyond that. It's 52-32 at the half. Washington is shooting 66% beyond the arc, but they're just scoring from everywhere, aren't they? Especially Cloud. She is perfect from beyond the arc, and actually she's perfect from everywhere on the court. Ariel Atkins is about as close to perfect as you can get. The 3-pointers are just absolutely unfair. Atlanta is 3 for 13. The Mystics are 9 and 14. But on a somewhat bright note, turnovers have been fairly even and not really as frequent. Just a few minutes into the third quarter, Monique Billings picks up her 4th foul of the game. Alina Deladon gets one of the free throws, but at this point, would it really have made much of a difference no matter how many free throws EDD makes? Atlanta is not getting good scoring opportunities at all, and the few they do get, they're just not converting on them. Ryan Howard is having a particularly bad game, missing even when she has clean, wide-open shots. The only other noteworthy thing this quarter was Ari McDonald's buzzer-beating 3-pointer at the end, 73-49 Mystics. Atlanta had more points this quarter than in the second, but it's just not enough. But on the upside, every Dream player tonight has scored at least 1 point, the second consecutive game that's happened. And Naz Hillman has sank all of her shots so far. She has 7 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. A little bit through the fourth quarter, Washington scores their 14th 3-pointer of the game, which is a new team record for threes in a game. Not really a whole lot more notes beyond that. There was just nothing to take notes on. Atlanta scored 25 points this quarter, their highest scoring quarter of the game, and Washington actually had their lowest of the game with 19. But nevertheless, the final score was 92-74. The Dream just got embarrassed, and on ESPN national TV no less. They didn't record one single block, which is the 7th time in team history that's happened. The last time was September 13th, 2020. Their opponent, of course, it was Washington. This team just cannot hang with a contender like Washington. 3 of their losses have come against them, and this is the 8th loss in a row in the all-time series. Look, there's a lot of raw talent, a lot of potential on this team, but it's times like these that remind me that this is still a rebuilding team. These players are fantastic, but they're just not familiar with each other, or the coaching staff, or the ownership. Teams like Washington, Chicago, Connecticut, these guys have had years of camaraderie to go by. Not that I'm hoping it takes that damn long to achieve the same thing for Atlanta. Stranger things have happened, of course. It's just that these things aren't always instantaneous. I mean, look at how long it took the Chicago Sky to finally win a championship. But not to end this on such a depressing note, let's take a look at some positives, because believe it or not, there actually were some. AD had 13 points, 2 rebounds, and 4 assists, and Naz Hillman had a career high in points with 11. So, you know, it's something. It's hope. The next game is Thursday in New York against a Liberty team that hasn't played since they beat the Atlanta Dream last Friday. I'll see you then.